Hey everyone, it's William with Scamming Scammers. Just gonna do a quick Q&A. A lot of you guys have been asking me to do a YouTube Q&A. I was going to do it at 7, but I got called for work, so we're gonna do a really quick Q&A today. Just if anyone has any questions or wants to address anything, be happy to have you guys come in the chat and just ask any questions you want to have. You want to ask, I'll go ahead and answer them. We're going to be doing a couple of really neat things coming up in the future with not only the channel but also with our YouTube. We're working on doing a podcast where it'll give you guys the ability to call in to us, and or you can voice chat with us and we can interact with you guys. That's something that we're working on. So hopefully within the next month or so, we'll be doing a podcast where you guys can interact with Ann and myself on the channel. So we're working on that. Give us some time. I just want to fill you guys in on a few things. Thanks to those of you who came to the Q&A yesterday on Facebook. I really appreciate it. We had a lot of great topics that we covered, and we're just going to kind of do something like that tonight. If you guys have questions, like I said, feel free to ask them and I'll answer them. And hello to everyone that's coming into the chat. Really appreciate you guys being here. We're just going to try to keep this a little short. I ended up having to work a little bit later today, so I'm not going to be on here for a super long time. But I appreciate you guys coming out. So as I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll try to address some topics. But as I said, we're working on doing a podcast. It's something we're going to look into in the next month or so. And then, as you know, Anne's going in for surgery within the next probably, it could be a couple weeks to 4 weeks. She'll be having surgery. So it's going to be pretty serious, but just keep in mind we'll still be running the channel. I'll still be answering the inbox on Facebook. So we're not going away. We're just, Anne's going to be out for a while, and her surgery is actually pretty serious. So I appreciate you guys keeping her in your thoughts and prayers. So thanks for everyone who's coming into the chat, and thanks for all your feedback. To address a quick question, somebody asked me why we haven't had any voice chats lately that we've uploaded. I haven't gotten a chance to really get on and chat with any scammers lately. I've been working a lot, and the few times I've gotten on, none of them have wanted to really talk with me. So we're going to try to do some country lady chats in the next few days, hopefully. I'm going to try tonight to maybe get a couple of scammers to talk with me and make some videos for you guys. But they just haven't been wanting to voice chat. And with Hangouts, as you guys know, Hangouts is going away at the end of this year. So with Hangouts being gone, a lot more scammers are trying to lure people to WhatsApp and Kick. I recently found out that the app Kick has a feature on it now that you can upload stolen videos. And so people will think that they're voice chatting and video chatting with the person, and in reality, it's just a stolen video. So, as I said before, if you're video chatting with somebody you've just met online, do the simple thing: have them write your name on paper, and just tell them to hold up the paper. And a person that's real on video will do that for you. A scammer won't be able to do that, and they'll just cut out the video chat. So just remember that if you are video chatting with someone. So we got some questions, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. We have one from Elsie. Is it right that I buy the ticket of the military boyfriend and coming to my place? No. We've covered this. I can't say this enough. Military men and women in the military do not have you pay for their leave. They don't have you pay for their plane ticket. Everything in the military, from their food to their clothing, to their leaves, to anything they want to do, it's paid for. So if you're talking to somebody online and they're telling you that you need to pay for a leave or you need to pay for something for them, it's a scammer. It's not a real military person. So my advice to you would be to block that person. Above all, don't send money, because they're not coming to see you. No military person is going to ask you for money ever. So please keep that in mind. But just remember that military men, military women. A lot of victims fall, for these military scam profiles, and it's because they don't realize that the U.S. military, they don't pay for things. They don't have you pay for leave. They don't have you pay for any kind of application for a wedding, marriage license. They don't need you to ship packages for them. They don't need you to open a bank account for them. They have all that, and they have access to their bank accounts as well. So please, please, if you're talking to somebody online, they say they're in the military, and they want you to send money or something for a leave, it's a scam, 100%. What about, let's see, he resigned from Syria camp, but busted on his way back to USA. Now he is from. That's another thing. Again, real military men, they're not going to escape their camp. They're not going to run away. They're not going to get busted and these type of things. And real military guys, when they're deployed, they don't pay a fee or anything to go home, or not to fight or whatever. And I will say this: if you're talking to anybody online and they say they're deployed to Syria, you are 99.9% always talking to a scammer, because while there are military deployed all over the world, guys that are in Syria, that happen to be over there, and it's rare that you'll meet one online. They're not gonna have these crazy stories where they're in the camp and they ran off and they got arrested and they got this and that. That it's a scammer. It's always going to be a scammer. And my advice to you, if you're talking to somebody online and they mentioned you, they're from Syria or they're deployed to Syria, I should say, run away, run far, far, far away, because it's going to be a scammer with a fake military profile and a stolen photo. So. And if you spoke to him on camera, it's very likely that it was a video recording. As I said, especially a doctor, they're saying they're a doctor in Syria. If you were video chatting with that person, and as I've told everybody before, have them write your name on paper while you're on video and make them hold that paper up right next to their face and say, "Look at me." A scammer is going to cut the camera off. A real person is going to write your name on paper while you watch. And if they can't do that, then you're talking to a scammer who's playing you a video recording. A lot of scammers will do that now. They'll play a video recording and they'll dub over the voice. So you'll have a stolen video of a doctor sitting in an office and he's moving around and talking, but they're dubbing over the voice. So just do that. Tell them to write your name on paper, and I guarantee the camera will go off. Helen, does your spouse or girlfriend need to apply for vacation time for the oil rig workers? No, they don't. You have nothing to do with an oil rig worker's time off. I'm going to tell you, I lived with a gentleman I lived in Texas for 10 years. He actually worked for Chevron. He worked on an oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico. He had a girlfriend. He had a daughter. And when he wanted to leave, he would work on the oil rig for 2 weeks at a time, 14 days. And then he would come home. He didn't pay to come home. And his girlfriend has absolutely nothing to do with applying for his vacation or his leave. So oil rig scams are huge. A lot of scammers say they work on oil rigs. The reason they say this is because they can tell you, well, I'm on an oil rig, so I need $1,000. Can you send it to my friend in Nigeria or my friend in Florida? Or and it's a way for them to be away. And real oil rig workers don't need you to pay for anything, and they get paid very well, and they get paid while they're on the rig. So if you're talking to somebody and they're telling you that, you're talking to a scammer. Guaranteed, 100%. So just keep that in mind. Hi, everyone. It's in chat. Hi, Peggy. Good to see you. I used TinEye and found my photos in 112 places. They stole my photos. I don't know how to get the photos off the 112 places. That's going to be really tough. It's like we tell people, once a photo's stolen or your photos are stolen, they go viral in the scammer world. I mean, you can report the places you see your photos, but it's really all in vain, because if you report, let's say, 50 profiles using your photo, scammers have already shared your photo, so there's going to be 100 more profiles made by the time you get the 50 removed. That's a tough situation. The only thing you can really do, I mean, if you want to report them, you can report them, but unfortunately, it's a lost cause as far as stopping the photos from being used, unfortunately. Your best bet is to secure the photos you have now that you haven't shared or haven't been used, so that they don't take those as well. What about guys that tell you they are trying to get their money transferred to the US? It's a scam. I mean, let's talk basics. If you're talking to somebody online and they're a rich businessman and they're in Malaysia working on $1 million contract, but they need your help because they can't get their money, something's wrong. People that really, what it comes down to is anybody online that you've never met in person, if they're asking you for financial help, whether it be to send money to pay for something, send money for a hotel, send money because their account's frozen, or they've been arrested, or they need their passport, it's a scam. Anytime money comes up or bank account information comes up, or hey, I want to send you some money, can you help me? It's a scam. No matter what they look like, no matter what story they've told you, when it comes down to a stranger asking you for financial help, or asking you to open a bank account or a credit card or accept money, you're getting involved in a scam no matter what. So keep that in mind. I mean, I tell people the same thing I'm going to tell you here. Being online is no different than being in person. So let's say that you were at the grocery store and you met a man and he was really nice and he chatted with you for a few minutes in the produce department of the grocery store. And then he said to you, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you go to that bank across the street and open a bank account for me? You wouldn't do it. So don't do it online. Don't do it for people you meet online. It's the same concept. Vicky, I wanted to know if you know when Hangouts is closing down. Um, I've heard October, and then they're starting to shut it down in October, but in some regions it's going to stay open until the end of December. For 2020, as far as I know, they're not going to have Hangouts after that. So, looking next, we're almost at the end of the year. So I would say by the end of December, there's going to be no more Hangouts. And that's why scammers are just rushing to get on WhatsApp. They want you on WhatsApp. That's going to be the new hotspot, I think, for scammers. So, Daniel, have you heard stories of victims traveling to Ghana only to get kidnapped? Yes, absolutely. There's been a few stories in the media, but there have been victims who go to Ghana on this, hell-bent trip to find their scammer. They end up getting killed. You have to keep in mind that places like Ghana and Nigeria are different than the United States, or different than the UK or Australia or New Zealand. It's a different world. There's different rules, different laws, different lay of the land. It's like the Wild West out there, and so your life is not valued as well as it is in your own country. So yeah, people have gone to places like Ghana on a mission to find their scammer, only to end up beaten, to end up killed. I mean, there was a gentleman that went to Nigeria to find his scammer, and they burned his body in the streets. So it's never a good idea to go after your scammer. And I say that online as well. We have a lot of victims that'll come to me and they'll say, I'm going to go after my scammer online. Don't do it, because you don't know what kind of scammer you're dealing with. You could be dealing with a kid. You could be dealing with a seasoned criminal. So it's never a good thing. Yeah, Rebecca, they often say their credit card was stolen, or their bank account's frozen and they can't access their money. And I'll say this, and I've said it before, people that are successful in business, engineers, oil rig workers, military men, doctors, businessmen, gold buyers, orthopedic doctors, they don't have issues with their bank accounts generally. And people that are working overseas, whether they're working for an oil company or they're working on this huge contract in Malaysia, and they're from Texas, their company is insured. So let's say that they do send a businessman over to Malaysia to do some business and he gets robbed. Guess what? He's insured. The company has insured him. Same with oil rig workers. They're all highly insured. So if anything happens to them, they're covered. They don't need your money. Their bank accounts aren't frozen until they finish their job. I mean, that's just a very popular thing for scammers to use. Brutal tube. What about Bitcoin scams? There's tons of them. There's tons of different kinds. A lot of the more popular scams that we've come across for Bitcoin right now is scammers will make a fake Facebook profile, and they'll put a photo of a businessman in a suit and tie, and it'll say Forex Bitcoin investment trader, and on their timeline it'll say, I made $1,000 in 5 minutes. I can make you $1,000 in 5 minutes in this. So they have all this stuff, and people are, oh, you can help me. How can I do it? And they'll say, oh, invest in Bitcoin. Send me your money, and I'll invest you in Bitcoin. It's a scam. People have asked me before, where do you buy Bitcoin? How do you do it? I don't dabble in Bitcoin. I don't dabble in Forex trading. I don't dabble in stock trading. However, there's an easy way to find out. You Google search what Bitcoin company is the best, what trading company is the best, and go with somebody online that is known. Don't invest your money with someone named Bob Smith who you just met on Facebook, who has a photo of $10,000 in his hand and says I'm a Bitcoin trader, because it's a scammer. It's a scammer using a stolen stock photo. Um, as I said, Bitcoin is something that I don't deal in. I don't invest in those sort of things, but there are really legit companies. There's Forex trading, there's e-commerce sites that you can do that type of thing. And if that's something you want to do, I would suggest you talk with a financial advisor, talk to a legit company, Merrill Lynch, or, somebody that's more vested in that type of economic trade. And like I said, don't trust somebody you just meet on Facebook. Let's see, we got a couple questions. If I missed your question, you want to get it answered, just say it to me again, and I'll read the chat. Hi to everyone who's just joining us. Really appreciate you guys being here, and I really appreciate you guys coming out and asking questions. I'm gonna try to keep this Q&A like not very long, maybe an hour. As I said, I just got off work, so I'm really tired. What is the deal with Hangouts, Barbara? Good question. Hangouts. So like we said, they're closing Hangouts. However, many of you guys have asked, why do scammers want you to go to Hangouts? Why does a profile? I'll give you an example. You're on Match.com. You meet a nice man. You talk to him for 30 seconds, and he says, come to Hangouts, dear. Why? Well, a couple reasons. First of all, fake profiles on like Facebook, on Match, on these dating sites, they can get taken down really quick. And so what happens is you'll be talking to somebody on Facebook that you met, and all of a sudden this profile's gone. Well, that's because Facebook has asked him for ID and he can't provide it, so they shut the actual page, the account down. If a scammer can get you on Hangouts before his profile gets shut down, he has you in a spot where he can have you with everybody else in one little chat box. And so he can go right down the line and pick his victims and talk to them, and he's not going anywhere. It's nearly impossible to get kicked off of Hangouts. So it's kind of like the new version of Yahoo Chat. They can keep all the victims in one little spot, and they can go right down the line and talk to whoever they want to talk to, and you're not going to disappear from them. So the scammer is not going to lose his Hangouts profile, and he's not going to have to go look for you again online. And that's kind of why they want it. And a lot of the scammers use Gmail now more than Yahoo. So Gmail is popular, and Hangouts is part of Gmail. So that's kind of why they want you on Hangouts. But my advice to you and to everybody is if you're talking to somebody online, you just met them, literally just met them 10 minutes ago, and all you know is that they're a widow and they have a tiny child, and their wife died of cancer and they're an engineer. If they ask you to go to Hangouts right away, block them. Just block them, because real people don't want you to download these Hangout apps or WhatsApp right away. They don't. Normal people are not going to do that. So if you're talking to someone and they want you on Hangouts right away, it's likely a scammer. Cindy, what about Dr. William Alford from Dallas, but working for the Afghanistan? Okay, let's talk about doctors. Doctors are not online talking to random women. Doctors are busy. And doctors run with other medical professionals, and they date people usually in their field or someone they meet in person. A doctor who's over in, say, Afghanistan or Syria, who's legitimately like an orthopedic surgeon or a facial doctor, whatever, internal doctor, they're not going to be online. So scammers use that excuse that they're doctors. It makes a lot of women and men fall for doctors because they're successful and wealthy and smart, and they're doctors. The reality is you're not talking to a doctor, you're talking to a scammer who's probably using a stolen photo. So, anytime you're online and you meet a doctor who tells you he's in Afghanistan or Syria or Iraq, it's a scammer. It's always going to be a scammer. I've yet in all my years to meet a doctor, a legit doctor from working in any of those countries on a peace mission or whatever. It's always going to be a scammer. So just keep that in mind. Thanks everyone for the nice comments. Is it common they will talk to you for years? Yeah, it can be. I had a lady. I'll tell a quick story. I had a lady the other week came to the inbox. She swore up and down she was talking to a very decorated soldier, a sergeant. And the real guy, we showed her who he was. He's married. He's got 4 kids. She adamantly would not believe us. She's still talking to the scammer. He's been talking to her for 4 years. Hasn't asked for anything yet. And scammers do. Scammers, some will talk to you for years before they ask for anything. The reason being one of 2 reasons. One, they have other victims on the hook, and so they're putting you on the back burner for later. And while they're putting on the back burner, they're getting to know you. They're gaining your trust. Another reason they do it is besides having a network of victims, they're going to hit you up for a big amount of money later on. So you have some scammers that will talk to you for 2 or 3 weeks and ask you for $500, and that's it. Boom, and a scam. You'll have some scammers that'll talk to you for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then hit you up for $10,000, $20,000 or $100,000. And by then they've gained your trust. They've gained your love. You've been talking to this person for years. My God, they must be in a real jam. They never have asked me for money before, and that's why they do it. And they do. They will talk. Some scammers will talk to victims for years. We had one lady that talked to a scammer for 6 years before he asked for money. And when he asked for $500,000. And guess what? She gave it to him. So that's why they do it. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Gene, for the nice words, and Dorothy. Appreciate you guys. And True Tech, you're right. They have many people that they're speaking to at one time, and it's a flow of income. So we've had victims come to us and say, "Oh, don't post him because he told me this story and only I will know it." He's told the same story to 20, 30 different women and probably men. They constantly have a flow of what they call clients. So they're constantly getting money. Some scammers do just work one victim at a time, but a good scammer, a well-seasoned scammer, has lots of women on the hook, and they may be making $50 a day from 10 different women. That's a lot of money. And so they are constantly working with victims. It's not always just one person. I got a text from a Brooklyn number about a job offer, and they wanted me to download and add him to Hangouts just to talk about the offer. Is this a new scam? Yes, it is. A lot of scammers now will offer jobs, and they will say, "Hey, text me on Hangouts. I'll go ahead and tell you about the job." And a lot of times what the job will entail, it's a scam, but it'll entail something like, one of 2 things. It'll be, I want to hire you, but I need your passport, I need your ID, I need your bank information, blah, blah, blah. And so that's just a scam. They get your information, they use your passport, they use your ID to open accounts and things like that, and Facebook profiles. Another part of that scam is they will say, "Hey, what's your address? I want you to mail packages for me, and I'll pay you $25 for every package you mail." And so what happens is these people agree to it. And guess what? They do make money. What happens is a scammer will use your name and address to send stolen merchandise that he's purchased online through wire fraud, bank fraud, credit card fraud to your house. You, in turn, will get an email saying, "Hey, can you print this label out now and mail this package off to so-and-so?" And it'll be someone halfway around the world, or it'll be someone in your backyard. What the scammer does is he uses you as a vessel to mail these items that he's gotten online illegally through stolen credit cards. What they generally do is they sell these items to somebody online, have you ship it. So let's say, for example, a scammer uses a stolen credit card to buy $1,000 cookware set. Okay, has it shipped to your house, and while he's having it shipped to your house, he's selling it online for $800 to somebody that doesn't know any better. He'll have you ship it. He'll give you $20, $25 for shipping it, and it goes to that person. They're making, scammers making a profit. So, and people do these jobs thinking, wow, I can make an extra, $50 a week just mailing packages. I can do that. You're actually committing fraud, and you're involved in fraud. And so, unfortunately, that's kind of what they do with these jobs. And it sounds too good to be true. And I tell a lot of ladies that are overseas, and I hate to say it, a lot of our victims come from the Philippines when it comes to job scams. These scammers will say, "Hey, you can make $3,000 a month washing dishes in a restaurant in America. Send me $200 for your passport fee and send me all your bank information. And they do it. And so I'm often telling ladies from other countries, in America, you don't make $3,000 a month washing dishes. Because if you did, I'd be washing dishes. So that's another popular job scam that they do. There are a lot of scammers on Instagram. I hope friends out there from anywhere are watching. There are a lot of scammers on Instagram. Instagram is becoming the new Facebook. And keep in mind that Instagram is owned by Facebook. They also own WhatsApp. It's amazing, isn't it? So yeah, they are coming to Instagram more than Facebook, and they're epidemic on Instagram. And Instagram has actually slowed down on allowing people to report fake profiles. They're not accepting reports at some point. So it's kind of, it's in vain to go ahead and report them because most of the time Instagram will do nothing about it, unfortunately. I feel intimidated by one of them. I'm afraid. I blocked the person, but still afraid I was a victim of fraud. Romance fraud. You know what? I would tell you don't be afraid, because you have to keep in mind that no matter where you live in the world, the majority of these scammers are coming from places like West Africa, India, Pakistan. A lot of them are coming out of Afghanistan now. If a scammer threatens you and says, hey, if you don't pay me, I'm going to come to your house and kill you, they're not going to do it. Most of these scammers can't even leave their own little crap neighborhood that they live in, let alone get on a plane, fly internationally, go through customs and all this other stuff. So if a scammer's threatening you, don't be scared. Just block them. Just block them. And if you've already blocked them and they keep talking to you through an app or through a phone number, just block. Don't reply. Don't read their messages. Just ignore them, because any threats they're making are empty threats, and they're meant to scare you. And that's the scammer's desperation, is they want to scare you because they can't get money from you. So I wouldn't even worry about it. Beverly, William, my guy, and I recently wed on WhatsApp, and now I'm getting people coming on trying to talk. How do they find me? Oh, you recently went on WhatsApp. Okay. WhatsApp's kind of funny. Sorry, I read that wrong. WhatsApp's kind of funny. The settings on WhatsApp, sometimes if you don't have them private, people can just find your number. If you've ever talked to a scammer in the past and he has your phone number, he can find you on WhatsApp, and he can share your number with other scammers, and they'll try to find you as well. Check your privacy settings on WhatsApp. There's a way to Google just settings on WhatsApp on Google. It'll tell you how to set your privacy settings, because a lot of times too, if you don't know any better, and I found this out recently on WhatsApp because I don't use WhatsApp. If you have it switched to business instead of personal, it'll have all your information public as well, and so scammers might be finding you that way. So it's something to keep in mind. Yeah, if someone's offering you a job overseas, it's a scam. A lot of us want to get these great jobs, these great paying jobs and stuff. And, the best thing I can tell you is go through Google and go to a legit agency, a staffing agency. Don't trust anybody you meet on Facebook that says they can get you a job. Vicky, what if you met on Facebook, talked every day for months, and then he asked you to go to Hangouts? Is that also a scam? Not necessarily. I mean, it depends on what he's telling you about himself. What is he asking of you? What's his story? I mean, some people do use Hangouts to chat. I mean, it's not 100% scammer. Some people use Hangouts to chat. I used to use Viber for a long time because it was just cheap and free calling when you travel, and I travel internationally. So I would need to know what he's telling you. What is his story? What does he want from you? What's his story? That's the best way you can tell. Lynette, I've changed my number and deleted my WhatsApp. Can they still contact me? If they have your phone number, yes. But if you've changed your number and deleted WhatsApp, it's unlikely. I mean, they might have your email address, so you might still get an email from them. But if you've changed your phone number and WhatsApp's off your phone, you should be fine. True Tech, you're right. Facebook has been listening on private conversations. Facebook is very corrupt. And I'll say it, I don't care. They're very corrupt. And I do believe Facebook supports scammers. They allow scammers to openly trade credit cards and do other things on the internet on their platform. So absolutely they're corrupt. On Instagram, I immediately knew one called himself James Alex or John Brown, captain of a cruise ship. Blocked him. Another lady, he was scamming her. Yeah, there's a lot of they love to be ship captains. They love to steal what's his name, Lingard's photos, and Captain Lingard is a gay married man, and they steal his photos all the time. And he's done videos and telling people, I'm not online. But yeah, Instagram is full of scammers. It's getting worse. All the social platforms are full of scammers. I've had people ask me what site is scammer free, and there isn't. Even the pay sites have scammers because scammers use stolen credit cards to sign up for accounts. But if I had to choose, as I said yesterday on our other Q&A, Instagram, I would say, is the biggest one full of scammers right now, and Tagged is the second one. I use Tagged to get my video voice chats. So Tagged is full of scammers too. I have a guy that is in China and wants to be with me. He said he's from Florida. Well, depends on what his story is. I mean, people can meet people online, but if you're talking to somebody, and all of a sudden they're in business in China on business and they'll be home soon and then they want to see you, I would kind of see that as a red flag. I mean, like Anna and myself have said many times, we don't know who's a scammer and who's not until we get the full picture. So a lot of people will come to us and say, I'm talking to a man online. He wants to meet me. Do you think he's real? And I'll say, well, what is he telling you? And then we go from there. So it depends on what he's telling you, what his story is. But I always say, if someone wants to meet you, they'll meet you. If someone really wants to be with you, they'll video chat with you right away. We have scammers using fake profiles that say, I'm going to come and marry you in 2 weeks, honey, when I see you. But they've never video chatted. And so a real person that really wants to get to know you and is interested in you, they're going to video chat with you. They're going to try and video chat with you as much as possible. They're going to write your name on paper and hold it up next to their face because they want to trust you, have that trust. And so a legit person would do that. If I was chatting with somebody online that I'd never met in person and they asked me to write my name on paper and hold it up, I would do it for them because I genuinely was interested in them, But if someone won't do that for you, then something's very, very, very wrong. Because if someone's going to marry you, marriage is like a big deal. So if someone's going to marry you, but they won't video chat with you, it's a scammer. It's always going to be a scammer. If it's not a scammer, then something's very wrong with them, period. I've lost all my money, but there was a bank involved. I couldn't understand that the bank is also scammers. No new men are coming on my Hangouts in a few days. So we've had people say to us that they've talked to somebody online, and this person is legit because I'll just use an example. They let me log into their bank account and they had millions of dollars in the bank. What scammers do is they buy domains for less than $1 and they create these fake bank pages. The one thing I will say about a lot of scammers that come out of Nigeria and Ghana, a lot of them are computer scientists. A lot of them are very, very smart. They know how to design websites that look just like the real thing. And that's one thing I always say, they're wasting their talent by scamming when they're able to design these really great websites. So a scammer will make a fake bank site and have you log into it, and it'll have $1 million in there. It's part of the scam. And like I said, a lot of the bank sites look legit and are not. And oftentimes we can track them and see where they really came from. But and True Tech, you're right. Marriage should only be understood. Here's the thing. I agree with you. Real legit people who love you, who genuinely love you and they want to marry you, they're not going to ask you the first 5 minutes of chat. They're not going to ask you the first month or the first 6 months. They're going to meet you in person. They're going to spend the day with you, the night with you, the week with you. They're going to cook with you. They're going to live with you. They're going to see what you're really like. A legit, sane person is not going to marry you or propose to you before meeting you, because it makes no sense. You could love a person's photo and love how they look and chat with them online, meet them in person, and it'd be a total train wreck. So keep in mind, scammers are quick to move to romance and to marriage. Legit people are not. Hi, Ben. Is it okay if I ask to meet you? You want to meet me? Sure. I've actually met a few people off of the page in person. Um, I have nothing to hide. I'm a real person. Anne's a real person. You know, she lives in Australia and I'm here in Oregon. But yeah, I've had someone ask me one time, have you ever met anybody from the scammers page? And I have. I've met a couple people just as friends. They were in my town, or they were near where I'm at. I've actually run into a couple people from the page. So yeah, I'm happy to meet people. But Ben, I didn't say you were accusing me of being fake. I'm just saying that I'm happy to meet someone from the page if they are in my area or I'm in their area. I'm happy to hang out with you, have a cup of coffee, whatever. Linda Ann lives in Newcastle, Australia, and I am in Oregon near Portland. So we're doing we're the only two that run the page, and that's where we're at. You'll never get anybody else on the page. So please tell me what? Please tell me what are your favorite flip flops. I'm not sure what you mean by that question, but I don't wear flip flops. I actually live where it's really, really cold, so I don't wear flip flops very often. Gene, if you ever come to Vegas, please stop by. Absolutely. I haven't been to Vegas for many, many years, but I would be more than happy to meet anybody from the page. So, Rose, sure. You know what? You guys are always welcome to meet us. I mean, like I said, I'm not a stranger. I'm not afraid of people as far as meeting them. I mean, as long as you're not, crazy, I'm happy to meet you somewhere in public and chat with you. I'm more than happy to do that. I love meeting people. I've met a lot of people from online that I've chatted with over the years. I mean, just, as friends, and meet up and you get a cup of coffee and a hug. Hey, I'm happy. I don't know who's crazy or who's not on here. You know what? Anna and myself get a lot of, we get a lot of hate mail. We get a lot of fan mail. I've had people send me, photos of beheaded people, and they're telling me they're going to kill me. I mean, I get a lot of hate mail, and gets a lot of hate mail from scammers and different people. But at the end of the day, we do what we do. Ben, I get a lot of hate mail. I've had my life threatened. Anne's had her life threatened. I've had one gentleman, he was a scammer from Nigeria. He actually found out my real full name and my address. So we do get hate mail. But you know what? It's worth it to help people. So if someone wants to send me a death threat, so be it. I'm still going to help people, and still going to help people. And we're still going to be, we're still going to be there for you guys. Ben, do I drink? No, I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol. And I'm not stressed. It's kind of a weird question. I work a lot. I work a lot of hours, and I do it because I need to. And so when like I'll give you an example. I just got finished working, so I'm really tired. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning, and it's almost 11 o'clock tonight. So that's why I look stressed. But I'm not stressed. I'm just tired. I have many pictures from a man with all different names, but now I know they're scammers. But the bank, I really don't understand. They'll steal photos of the same person, and they'll steal like 100 different photos sometimes of the same person. The bank thing, it could have been a bank site that they made up that the scammer made. Anything is possible. If you need more help and you have any questions, our inbox scamming scammers action on Facebook is open. If you want to bring me the information you have, we're happy to take a look at it. Ben, I don't have any health issues. I actually don't. I don't know why you think I have health issues. I don't. I will tell you, it's hot here today. It's about 85 degrees in my house right now. I haven't turned on my air conditioner because it makes too much noise to be overall on YouTube. So, Ben, I don't have any health issues, and if you have any scam questions, that's fine. But anything than that, there's nothing I can help you with. So, Ben, this has nothing to do with scamming, and like I said, I'm perfectly healthy. I actually just went to the doctor last week, so fine. Let's see. Kelvin, scammers hate getting caught. I have no idea why I'm so intrigued by this stuff. It's funny. We just had we talked about this yesterday, I believe. Scammers. They arrested a whole bunch of scammers in Nigeria and in the United States for scamming, and people were all excited because they were saying, "Oh, this is great! The FBI is cracking down." Blah blah blah. Honestly, I think that it's just like a one-off thing. I don't think it's something that they're going to continue doing. I think they did bust a bunch of scammers, but I don't think it's going to be something that we're going to see very often. I think they do it. They did it. It's great, but at the same time, it gives people false hope because they think, "Hey, my scammer might get arrested," and the truth is, they probably won't. It's just. I think it's just a news thing that they did, and they caught some scammers, and that's pretty much where it's going to stay. I think social media is responsible for a lot of it. I think they need to crack down on scammers. I think they need to crack down on what's happening on social media, and they don't. I think social media is just as responsible as the rest of just as responsible as the scammers for the scam. So that's kind of my opinion. Ben, I'm going to tell you this right now. This is a place where we're discussing scamming and scammers and questions you have about scammers. As far as my health and questions if you have something with my health, I don't. This isn't the place for it. This is a Q&A about the scammers. But yeah, Dorothy, you're right, and I wish social media would do more too. I don't see Facebook doing very much to stop it. I don't think they're gonna really care to do much. It's one of those things that they make a lot of money with all these profiles they have, and so the more profiles they have on their social media networks, the more money they're making. So I doubt Facebook will ever do anything. Yeah, I just went ahead and banned whoever that person was because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But as I said, if you have any questions, hey, feel free to ask them. If you have any questions about scamming, about Page, about anything else, let us know. As I said earlier, I'm working on doing a podcast thing. We don't know quite what network we're going to use. It might be Twitch. It might be a different podcasting network, but we're going to try and go ahead and start doing a podcast where you guys can either voice chat, call in, or call a number and call us in and ask questions. We've had a lot of people ask if we would do a podcast, and I've kind of thought about it and thought, I'm not sure, but I think it might be something I will look into doing. A lot of you guys want it, and so we can just answer questions, and you guys can call in. It might be easier for you guys to vocally tell us what you want or what's going on. So, but thanks for you guys for all your support. I really appreciate it. We're trying our best to help you guys, and our inbox tonight was extremely busy. It's still extremely busy, and worked most of the inbox tonight, and it's been unfortunately full of victims. So we don't see scammers stopping by any means, unfortunately. Yeah, I agree, and True tech protecting kids is really important too, because you know what? We've had scammers try and scam children. We actually had a scammer. I'll tell you the story. We had a scammer about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Was talking to a 15-year-old kid with a fake teenage girl profile. He actually convinced this 15-year-old boy to take his Xbox and sell it and send the money to her. And her ended up being like a 30-year-old Nigerian guy. So scammers target everybody. They scam kids, teenagers, they scam elderly. They don't care who you are. If they can get money from you, they're going to scam you. And that was one of the kind of a weird. We had the young man come to the inbox. He said, I think I've been scammed. And it ended up being a 15-year-old kid that got scammed by a grown man who was pretending to be a teenage girl. So it's really, really sad. The kid, he was really innocent. It wasn't a sexual chat with this kid. It was a kid that actually just kind of wanted a first girlfriend and wanted to get to know a girl. And the chat they had was very innocent. And she said that she lived in the next town over and she needed money, told him the sob story. And, it just goes to show you how sick scammers are. They'll try to get money from anybody and anyone. And unfortunately, that's kind of how they work. They just want they want money. They don't care if you're 80 years old or if you're 16. They want your cash. But people go to great lengths. We've had victims that have sold their cars, their homes, everything, and people don't realize how much you lose when you get involved with a scammer. And so that's why it's important to do what we do. So. But I want to thank everyone for coming out. I mean, if you guys have any questions, you feel free to ask them. I'm happy to answer. And you're right, and no one's immune to a scammer. I've had people, and Anne's had people come to the inbox and say, I'll never be scammed. Do you know why I won't be scammed? Because I'm not rich. Doesn't matter. A scammer will find a way to use you. They'll use you, if you're not rich, they'll use you as a money mule to open a bank account, or to accept money from another victim. If you are rich, they'll try to get your money one way or another. There's a use for you in a scammer's mind. Whether you're rich or poor, young or old, they'll find a way to use you to their advantage. So don't think because you're not rich, and don't think because you won't give money, doesn't mean a scammer won't try to talk to you and to get to you, because they will. But just remember that. I might try to call some scammers later. I'm not going to do it on a live video chat because it's really early yet, and usually the scammers don't come on until a little after midnight. But I will try to get a voice chat tonight with a scammer as the old lady. I'm hoping, because a lot of you guys have been asking, and I just haven't had the opportunity to get them to talk to me. And true, people can get scammed over and over again. We've had a lot of victims that have gotten scammed, 2, 3, 4 times, and it's unfortunate, but it does happen. And actually, the sad part is sometimes the same scammer will come back as a different person 2 and 3 times and scam the same victim over and over. I have no friends, so when anybody tries to contact me, I automatically think it's a scam. Well, I mean, if you're getting contacted out of the blue by somebody and you've never, you weren't on a dating site, and they say, oh, I was looking for an old friend and I found you, it's probably likely a scammer. They'll send random messages and stuff to people. Scammers don't have any remorse. Someone messaged me on WhatsApp. I don't know where he got my number, but the profile is obviously a scammer. My advice to you, I don't have WhatsApp. I don't use any of those kind of apps. If you're getting random messages, whether it be on WhatsApp or Hangouts or Facebook, if you don't know the person, it's best to just block them. Just block them straight out. That's what I would do. So, have I tried flirting with a scammer? No. I play the old lady. It's not really flirting. I just say absolutely absurd things to the scammer. Just, someone asked me where I get the idea to be the old lady, and it's just a combination of people I've met in my life. I lived in the South for many years, and I kind of exaggerate some of the people I've met in my life. So I just, I don't flirt with them. I just tell them ridiculous things. So whenever I play Words with Friends, I get a lot of them, a lot of red flags telling me their life story, asking me personal questions. Yes. Um, Words with Friends is really full of scammers. We have a couple ladies in our inbox on the page that they bring uh, Words with Friends chats every single day. I mean, and really in reality, and I'll say this about gamers, I've known a lot of gamers in my time. I don't particularly play games online, but uh, people that are really dedicated to playing games online, whether it be card games, Words with Friends, or hardcore military gaming, whatever it is you do, they generally do not sit there and chat. A real gamer is not going to chat with you and tell you their life story. A real game player is going to play the game and try to get their points and whatever they want. So, yeah, a lot of them are on, and a lot of the scammers use a cheat app for Words with Friends, so it makes it look like they're very well versed in English and they're very well versed and they're very smart. And in reality, they're just using a cheat app. And then meanwhile, in the chat, they're telling you their whole life story. So you flirted with one and ended up giving her real number. Well, I mean, every scammer is different. I don't flirt with scammers. I just it's not something I would do. But it's something some people do. I mean, when it comes down to baiting scammers, I don't recommend you do it unless you know what you're doing, because some of the scammers can come after you pretty hard. Ben, I know a lot of gamers that play on Twitch and they don't chat, they play the games. It all depends. But what I'm saying is a gamer who's playing Words with Friends, who's trying to win a game, is not going to sit there and tell you their whole life story of how their kid died and their wife died and they're living on an oil rig. I'm just wondering, how did he know my number? I've blocked him already. Any ideas how I got my number? If you blocked your scammer, Rose, and they're coming back and calling you, the scammer probably gave your number to other scammers, and that's probably maybe why you're getting a lot of phone calls. Or if your name is listed in the online directory or the phone book, he could just be looking you up. They're so persistent. Do you recommend to give up social media? I personally have been blocking many people. Um, no, I don't recommend you give up social media, because there's always going to be scammers no matter where you're at. There's scammers on Pinterest. There's scammers on game sites. There's scammers everywhere. You can't escape them. It's just a matter of knowing what to look out for, how to stay safe. Don't give up your social media or your lifestyle of meeting friends and having fun online because of a scammer. Just know what to look out for, know how to stay safe. That's the best thing you can do. Can an email be traced from a scammer? It depends. A lot of scammers, they use Gmail, and when you go to trace an IP on Gmail, a lot of times it just comes back to Mountain View, California, because that's where Gmail's headquarters are for Google. Sometimes it can be traced, but even if you can trace it, and even if it would trace right back to the scammer's address and home and everything, there's nothing you can do with it. The FBI is not going to go and arrest them. The EFCC is not going to do anything about it. They're going to take your report, say, "Oh, great, thanks," and throw it away. So, yeah, you can trace. I mean, it depends on what email service they're using. Sometimes it'll come up and it'll tell you it's an African ISP or whatever, but there's nothing really you can do with it. I found out that I'm being investigated by the local PD for alleged illegal activity. The same week, I had 3 new friend requests on Facebook, but from hot girls. It could be related. It could be just, it could be just a coincidence. If you're being investigated by the police, I mean, it depends on what you're being investigated for. I mean, it could be a coincidence. It's hard to know. I get a lot of requests. Okay. Met a few people on dating sites who ended up not being like they were on the phone or video chats. One time I noticed my wallet was missing about $80. It's you can meet people online, and they could be just as, meet them in person. They can be just as bad as a scammer that you meet online. I mean, that you never meet. Unfortunately, I've had friends that have gone on dates from online dating and they end up getting robbed. So it can happen. It can definitely happen. Um, as far as Ben, I put him in timeout. I don't have time for personal garbage like that. I mean, if you're here to ask a question that has to do with scamming or scammers or have a question, that's fine. But he continuously kept making comments on stupid things. So, but anyway, yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. I'm not going to make this Q&A really super long. We've got videos in the inbox and stuff to do. And as I said, if you need help, our inbox is open under Scamming Scammers Action on Facebook. We're always happy to help you. If you have a question about someone you're talking to online, bring it to our inbox. We'll take a look. Bring us the profile link and bring us the information you have. So, I mean, it just, we're here to help you. So if you have questions, we're always there. But as I said, we're going to work on some more stuff. We're going to work on a podcast. We're going to work on doing some other things. And I appreciate you guys bearing with us. The YouTube channel has been a little slow the last couple of weeks because I've been working a whole lot. But I hopefully we can get more people to watch and share and help us with our videos and stuff. Because someone asked me, how do we stop scammers? And I tell you the best way you can stop a scammer is by spreading the word, not sending the money. Educating other people on scams. I mean, people come to us and they say, oh, you've been doing this page for a long time. You must, no one must send money anymore. Unfortunately, we probably have about 500 people every 2 days that come to our inbox and they've sent money. So it's not slowing down by any means. On Instagram, can they see my story if I don't accept their follow, but answer them in the DM? They shouldn't be able to. I personally don't have Instagram because I find it very difficult to navigate. Same with Twitter. It's not something I'm interested in. There is if you Google settings for Instagram on Google, it'll actually tell you what you can set it all to. When you DM a person, they shouldn't be able to see your whole life story. If your Instagram is set to private, then they shouldn't be able to see it, hopefully. But I would be very, very careful with Instagram. I don't like it. I think it's kind of like a, hey, look at me kind of thing. But yeah, you got to be careful meeting people on the internet. Even, we tell people the same thing. Even if they're not a scammer, if you meet them in person, meet them in a public place and be very, 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 very careful. Because you never know. You never know who you're dealing with. You never know what the person's about. It's very scary. But then at the same time, you can meet great people online. I met Anne. I flew out to Australia. I mean, you can meet legitimate people online as well. But it's just a matter of knowing what to look out for. So, but yeah, on all settings, same with Facebook. Facebook changes their settings without telling you. So it's always good to check your profile, make sure your albums are private or set to friends only. Make sure all that stuff is set because it's really tricky how they change things without you knowing, and it'll be public and you won't know. You can send it. We're on Facebook under Scamming Scammers Action. You can find us in our inbox and just click message like you're going to message someone on Facebook. It sends it privately to our thing, and Ann just put the link in there as well. I follow a lot of military, have lots of family in the military. And there's legit military people online. I mean, I'm friends with military people that are actually real retired military. They're not scammers. But a lot of people need to understand that these military men that are online saying they're deployed and they're looking for a wife, real military men don't do that. Real military guys are not, searching online for a wife. They're not sending you teddy bears and poems, and their Facebook profile is not filled with pictures of teddy bears and puppies and kittens and stuff like that. So if you are talking to a military person online and their Facebook profile looks like something a 12-year-old girl would have hanging up in her bedroom, then it's a scammer. It's not going to be a legit military man. And another thing people don't look for, we've had people bring us military profiles and they say to us, how do you know this is fake? And I say to you, well, you have a 25-year-old ripped buff military dude and he's got 6 friends and they're all ladies from the Philippines, and there's no comments on his photos except for women saying, you're beautiful, I want to be with you, here's my phone number. A real military guy will have tons of military friends. I have several military men that are retired that are friends of mine on Facebook. They have 400 friends. 390 of them are military guys. They're all in the same, branch of the military. They were all in boot camp together. They've known each other for years, and that's how you can tell a legit from a fake military profile right off the bat. So we are, Gene. We're living in separate countries right now. We just right now financially and things like that. We're in different countries right now. So it's yeah, I'm just reading the chat. I appreciate you guys being here, and like I said with Instagram, I'm not a big fan of Instagram, so I honestly don't know enough about Instagram to tell you how to set it up. What is the most popular fake profession to scam people? I would say military, followed by oil rig, followed by doctors. That's the top 3 right there. So, but if anyone has any more questions, I'm gonna go ahead and probably close up this Q&A for now. We're gonna try to do one of these, every few weeks or so. Yeah, engineer's another popular one as well. So is nurse and model for the female profiles, and gold buyer. They like to be gold buyers too. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up for tonight. If you guys need help, let you guys know we're on Facebook under Scamming Scammers Action. I'll try to get some old lady chats out in the next day or two, and I appreciate you guys coming out. I know this was kind of a short notice thing. Maybe next Q&A we'll try to do a slumber party style, and we'll call some scammers. But as I said, I'm really, really tired tonight, so I'm going to close this up. And I really appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks, True Tech. Appreciate it. Like your channel as well. And we'll see you guys next time. Keep the money to yourself. Don't give it to no scammers. And thanks again. We'll see you guys later.